We'll start with the EOP introduction. So EOP, we're aware it's an exchange online protection. And basically, to put it into simple words, EOP is a filtering solution provided by Microsoft. So instead of using third party, we can always leverage what Microsoft give us. And now EOP will be included if you have an exchange license. Even though if you have one exchange license, a standalone license or a business basic also, you will get EOP. On top of that, if you're not on cloud, if you are still using the on-premises service, then also you can leverage EOP by going through or by purchasing the online services or the license, the standalone license for EOP. So basically, EOP is an AI from Microsoft, and so simply, if I put it, it works in such a way that let's say that you set up your environment right now. So it will take, now this is something that we have experienced, it will take at least 3 months to understand about how the mail flow or how many tickets or sorry, how many emails are flowing into your environment, how many are going out, and that's how it will adapt, and then it will work in blocking and spam, moving emails into junk folders and all those things. But at the very beginning, it will just rely on the database that Microsoft has for spam and spoof emails. Because if we go through the EOP documentation, Microsoft says that around 400 billion, I'm not sure about the exact number, but around 400 billion email they process every month. That's what they claim. And out of those, 10 million every minute they block it. And this particular data is stored within their database, and that's what EOP leverage from. So if we are reporting in, let's say, a spam email in our environment to Microsoft, and if that is actually a spam or a spoof attempt, Microsoft will block that. That information will be saved into their database, and that database will be leveraged by all other companies, EOP, if they are using it. That's how their EOP setup is. And if we simply talk about the features, then EOP include edge blocking like IP, sender, domain, anti-spoofing capabilities they have. And EOP also do the authentication check for internal and external both. And if we are using, let's say, ATP, so EOP with an ATP will give us like URL protection, domain spoofing, attachment check. Like, I'm not sure if you guys were there in the Mimecast. All those features are already there in EOP. And apart from this, EOP is, so basically when you initially register a company with Microsoft, they give you a initial domain, which will always in a format of domain.onmicrosoft.com. And that is being called as MODRD, which is Microsoft Online Direct Routing Domain. That's what it is called as. So that's what Microsoft uses to activate the license and for the initial mail flow, unless you put in a custom domain. So EOP is very much dependent on this MODRD or MOERA, however you want to put it in. And that's what EOP initially uses when you don't have your custom domain. But in any scenario, even though if you create a user on the cloud and you use your custom domain, there'll always be an on Microsoft address attached. And that's what they use to activate the facility or the features, you can put it, for EOP, and also the license. That's what Microsoft uses. That's a small introduction about EOP, what it does and everything. So we'll jump on to the next topic. I'm 100% sure everyone knows about this. This is just a quick refresh, we can put it. So we'll go through the message header. So if I talk about the message header, we know what a message header is. Let me put it in this way. Yes, now this is much better. Okay. So within message header, we'll specifically talk about as of now P1, P2 headers, but we have other headers section that we'll go through after this. So P1, P2 header, P1 is also called as an RFC 5321, and P2 is also called as a RFC 5322. So P2 is something which an end user sees in their Outlook or any other email client service which they are using. I'm using Outlook, I can see there. If I'm using the mail, the default which is there within Windows, I'll also be able to see the P2 headers. And those include the from, to, or if we reply, that's what contains the P2. Whereas the P1 will contain the return path, the mail from mail to, also contain the connecting IP, and P1 is what a mail server used to send NDR to. So spoofing usually occur in this scenario where the return path is something different, from is something different, because the end user will never know where the email come from, and they'll obviously not go into the header for every email to check what is the return path, and that's how they spoof. But there's one more scenario. So in case if we are using a relay, and in that scenario also we have a different P1 and P2 header. So if you guys have you guys would be using the email relay, maybe some of the product, maybe any application or the printer, usually the return path, maybe like we have in Carlsberg, we have an application that we use. So return path is something else, the from address is something else. So EOP always consider that as spoofing, and instead of blocking it, it will move the email to junk. So the only solution is to actually go ahead, because these applications will only use, let's say, a list of IPs. So we whitelist those IPs and forcefully allow EOP to bypass. And that's the only practical solution, because we already had a discussion around this, and Microsoft says that if in case we allow such type of emails, then differentiating factor between a genuine spoof and a spoof which you are doing, like an SMTP relay, would be very difficult. So that's why they just block, or let's say quarantine or move to junk as per your settings, all the emails that they have. So here's the example, trying to see the P1, P2 headers. So there are a number of free option available on the internet. MX Toolbox is one which you can use, or you can use any other as per your feasibility, whatever you like. I go for EXRCA, which I think is better than MX Toolbox, but that's my perspective of this, which is from Microsoft itself, Microsoft Remote Connectivity Analyzer. All right. So as an end user, the P2 would be who send it to. This is what an end user can see. But for the P1, if you do the header analysis, we will be able to find the written path, which is here. And P1, P2 has to be same for email to go through, else it will be considered as spoof. That was the basic of what P1, P2 are, how they actually look like.